2025 is the year where we started to see institutional players and enterprise players as well take the tech behind this space extremely serious. Now, at the same exact time, we have been focused on projects that have been catering to institutional players and enterprise players for a very long time. In fact, if we think about Hedera, I've been talking about how Hedera has been catering to the enterprise space for about roughly 4 years now. And today, it's still one of the biggest things that Hedera has been focused on. It's very similar to how Ripple has been catering to the institutional space for years and years and years. And now, today, that is so important to think about because everything is starting to change around crypto, where we are starting to see the biggest players in TradFi and even outside of TradFi as well really kind of focus on what they can accomplish using this tech. When it comes to Hedera, I really do think that this is going to be one of those networks that actually starts to see that mass enterprise demand. And already, if we think about the names tied back to Hedera, I feel as though they're already, 2 steps ahead of the rest of the projects in this space when it comes to the enterprise sector. And we'll talk about that. But first, let's take a quick look at price action because, the market has been pretty much heating up, I would argue, over the last couple days. And this is after having that nice little sell-off. For an example, this is what the last couple, days look like. This is the 7-day span. This is the last 1 month. So here we have that sell-off down into like the 22, 23 cent zone. Now we're starting to have a nice little jump back to the upside. In terms of the actual chart, this is what we're looking at. We might chop a little bit more. I'm totally fine with altcoins being pretty boring for the rest of, August while Ethereum kind of does its thing. And then after August into September, we'll have altcoins just kind of go crazy. I think that altcoins probably heat up sometime around like the second half of August. But, so far we have been holding the lows. We've just been ranging in this wedge and we're just waiting for this thing to squeeze and squeeze and squeeze for us to actually break over the key levels on this chart. The first major level that we're actually looking at is around 29.5 cents. And then the next one actually goes all the way back to 2021, and that is around 34 cents. Once we clear these levels, then we can really target that all-time high of 57 cents. And I do think that this can happen very, very fast. A lot of people actually underestimate how fast things in this space change. We saw this with XRP. We saw this with even Ethereum recently. When it comes to HBAR, we're 116% away from a new all-time high being breached. Just going back to November, I think that this is a good example of how fast things can change. We did roughly an 800% run-up from roughly the beginning of November to January, right? So in this span, HBAR ran 800+%, and it was 70 days. If we're thinking about that, from where we currently are right now on this chart, if we're thinking about 70 days, that would take us to about October, okay? I'm just going off of a 116% increase here. An 800% increase would be insane. I don't know if we get an 800% increase like we did back in November, but if we were to do something like an 837% push to the upside, you're talking about almost $2.50, which is something that I said is possible, but we typically don't repeat the same exact move. Just for reference, if we're really thinking about price action and how price action looks, I think that back in 2021 is a good example of this. Here's the initial run up, and we'll just start off at the bottom here. This was about a 1,300 and it's like 1,354% of a push to the upside. And then off of the lows of the summertime to the next high, it was about a 303% push. So even if, let's say, on the low end from where we currently are trading, maybe we do like a 200% push. It's about 79 cents. I'm totally fine with 79 cents. I know that a lot of you are not. That's okay, because I don't think that we just do a 200% run. I still think that we target $1 plus on HBAR on this next big wave, where $2 is definitely something that's possible. But we have to watch, wait, and see. We have to see how much demand there is for HBAR. But so far, HBAR has been absolutely killing the game. We've been addressing it. We've been talking about it. And the chart does look pretty good. But let's actually talk about enterprise grade adoption for Hedera, because I think that the best example of this is the GC. If we think about the GC, just taking a quick look at the names here, Arrow, one of the most recent ones, which joined back in the beginning of June. This is a massive player in the enterprise sector, and they're actually building a supply chain with Hedera, which is exciting. But also all of these other names like Aberdeen's in the finance space. They've been absolutely, killing the game in terms of tokenization. They're actually a GC that's doing something on Hedera, unlike some of these other names, which we've talked about in the past being a big problem. Australian Payments Plus, also an absolute giant in the financial space. They're also doing things with Hedera instead of just sitting on the GC. And then also some of these other names are some pretty big players. We've talked about how over time we'll continue to see more and more legitimate names joining the GC, becoming a big piece of the Hedera plan, and also tapping into the actual tech. ServiceNow is utilizing Hedera for, automation, specifically a workflow automation in, the enterprise sector. So ServiceNow is a great example. Also, ServiceNow powers like 80% of the Fortune 500. So this is definitely a big name. And then you think about all of the other partnerships and announcements that we saw so far in 2025, like NVIDIA and IBM, or sorry, not IBM, IBM Intel, utilizing Hedera for AI. When we're thinking about that, these are real, legitimate, massive players in, the tech space that are enterprise giants that actually power most of the enterprise sector. And they're tapping into Hedera. They're tapping into Hedera because of the tech and because of what's possible with Hedera. Just like KPMG, right? In India, they actually collaborated with the Hashgraph Group AG to drive enterprise blockchain adoption, leveraging Hedera's DLT technology. The main reason behind all of this was how easy it is to scale with Hedera and how efficient it is as well. I don't think people realize how powerful Hedera actually is compared to some of these other big players. Okay. And even from, the quote here from the co-founder and CEO of the Hashgraph, we have this strategic alliance with KPMG in India represents a pivotal moment in combining the strengths of a leading professional services firm with the technological power of Hedera as the world's leading layer 1 protocol to enable organizations with Hedera-powered post-quantum enterprise solutions. We are excited to embark on this joint go-to-market journey with KPMG in India and look forward to empowering businesses to compete in the Web3 economy. That's also another big thing that a lot of people actually don't understand, right? With Hedera, you're not just getting that quantum-resistant tech, you're also getting ABFT security, which is the highest grade security that's, possible. And even when we look at the quote here from the head of Web3 at KPMG, they said, today, blockchain technology has the potential to revolutionize various sectors by providing secure, transparent, and efficient solutions. Our alliance with the Hashgraph Group is expected to enable us to offer our clients immense value and drive innovation in the digital economy enabled by blockchain technology. And that's because of Hedera's high speed, security, and scalability. Its low predictable fees and carbon negative footprint make it the ideal solution for enterprise applications ranging from decentralized finance to sustainability solutions to supply chain management and more. And yes, this is exactly why we have been witnessing all of the adoption around Hedera that we've been seeing so far. Even when we go and look at the enterprise solutions, there's 6 pages of enterprise solutions on Hedera, and you could read all of these case studies on exactly why they chose Hedera. It's because of the scalability. It's because of how cheap it is to tap into Hedera as well. I don't think people yet got the image in their mind of just how bullish the tech behind some of these networks are, because what we've been hearing from these prominent creators in this space, they've been telling us, and I'm talking about content creators specifically, they've been telling us that the technology means nothing, that we shouldn't even be worried about the tech, that we should only be worried about the price chart and price action. And see, this is the issue, right? Is that once we start to only think about price action, we think the second that the price goes down, this is bad. This is bad. This is not good. The technology behind this project and this project itself is just useless because we're selling off, right? That couldn't be any further from the truth. Like when we think about what Hedera is doing, the tech here is so massively undervalued. but also they are continuing to build towards enterprise grade adoption, even with HashSpear, right? This got announced back in March of this year. It was the end of March. This is Hashgraph unveils HashSpear, a private permission network powered by Hedera. A lot of people also thought this was bearish because it's a private based network. What this actually introduces is a hybrid model to Hedera. It means that enterprises can build on the private side of Hedera, test it, and then bring it over to the public side. And again, I'm not worried about these private based networks taking demand from the public side. The reason why I say that is because we've been hearing from prominent names outside of this space as well, and even within it, that tells us that, private is not the way to go. Franklin Templeton told us this. I think BlackRock also told us this. So many prominent institutional players have been telling us that, public is the way to go. It's the exact same reason why JP Morgan, switched up from using private Ethereum tech to actually tapping into public blockchain-based technology with Base. So, this is just a hybrid model that allows these institutional players and these enterprise players to tap into the private side, get their use case ready to go live on the public side, and then once it's ready, they will go live with it on public Hedera tech. But it's not just HashSpear and it's not just Hedera itself, it's also key pieces to the puzzle, like for an example, Hedera Guardian 3.0, which by the way is being utilized by Dovu. And again, this is actually not even just Dovu. There's so many other big players that are tapped in with the Guardian 3.0. I actually think that some of these key things that people just continue to overlook, it's very similar to all of the other things that they have within the ecosystem. For an example, I think it's actually under use cases. Like all of these solutions here, the Hedera Guardian, the Stablecoin Studio, the Asset Tokenization Studio, and even the AI Studio, all of these are key pieces of the Hedera puzzle that allows it to be this extremely sought after network to be utilized by these enterprise players. This is why I keep saying that Hedera has that all-in-one platform for enterprise players to tap into it. It's very similar to what Ripple is building, right? Like Ripple wants to have that, everything app for institutional adoption of blockchain. That's exactly what Hedera is trying to build here as well for enterprise players. And it's actually exactly what they have with everything that they have under the, umbrella. So this is very exciting. And on top of that, we've already been witnessing some pretty significant adoption, I would argue, of Hedera's tech. And that's why I always look at like the names that are tied back to like the enterprise side of Hedera. Like even BitGo, they just recently became a GC on Hedera. This is actually built around institutional adoption. But this is like a huge player that's tapping in with Hedera because they see how successful Hedera is becoming and how big of a name Hedera is becoming in this space as well. It's not a surprise to me at all that Hedera is becoming as popular as it is currently. And I've been saying this for like the last couple months as well, that, 2021 compared to 2025 Hedera is night and day. Back in 2021, we didn't really have the infrastructure that we have today. Back in 2021, we didn't have a marketing team. Back in 2021, we didn't have the foundation. We didn't have much of an ecosystem at all. Today, the ecosystem is so populated. And on top of that, we continue to see more and more recognition of Hedera, not just in crypto. Like the big thing about this is, in 2021, we lacked any sort of exposure in the crypto space. Like not a lot of people were actually paying attention to Hedera. Today, it's almost everyone in crypto knows about Hedera, and outside of crypto, even like TradFi and the traditional enterprise space as well, they now know about Hedera because of some of these recent announcements. And it's only going to become a more and more prevalent thing as time goes on, and Hedera is only going to become a bigger and bigger name. This is something that I'm very excited about. I think that mass adoption of Hedera tech through the enterprise side is going to become a reality very soon, especially with a lot of the recent announcements with, the Stablecoin Studio getting some adoption, the AI Studio getting adoption, and then the Guardian also seeing a lot of increased adoption. But KPMG back in January announcing this kind of gave us everything that we need to know about. When we think about the retail sector, we only get a glimpse into what's happening. we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. We don't know the NDAs and things like that that are in place. It's very clear that so far 2025 has been one of the biggest years for Hedera. It continues to be a crazy time for HBAR holders. I know that price action, we're still sitting about like 26 cents. I'm totally fine with 26 cents right now. I'm not complaining about it. I actually think that it's very good compared to where we were at back in like 2022. I mean, listen, we were buying the dip all during this time. We're still up in a huge way off of these lows. Even if we're going off like the midline, we're still up 50%. I'm totally fine with this. I think that, by the end of the cycle, I think everyone will be happy with the overall performance of Hedera. And I really do think that long term, some of these projects like HBAR, they will be worth hundreds of billions of dollars, if not trillions of dollars. So I think that this is one of those projects that, enterprises are going to flock to, especially once they, kind of see the issues with Ethereum or other networks. I've talked about it already multiple times when it comes to the unlimited scalability factor behind Hedera, but even just taking a quick look at Bitcoin and Ethereum compared to Hedera, the facts don't lie here, right? If I was an enterprise player, if I was a, institutional player that wanted to tap into a network for, payment technology and financial transactions, I'm choosing Hedera all day long. The scalability, the cost, even the time to settle, all of that, it's so much more efficient than tapping into Bitcoin or Ethereum. Realistically speaking, the only reason why Ethereum has been as successful as it has been with the technology that it has is simply because it had the first mover advantage in the market. It was one of the big players that really kind of got shilled to the institutional side and enterprise side of the market. And, DeFi became a huge deal on Ethereum, especially back in like late 2020, in the summer of 2020. But I do think that over time, this continues to shift. It's starting to move more and more to other networks. And, give it a couple years, I think that this space is going to look completely different, where some of these networks like Hedera could easily be on the top. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.